Hello there, John Coturillo here, the counsellor of your listener. Thank you for joining me for this episode. As per usual, thank you to everyone who makes it possible for me to live my vision every day, be you a client who allows me the privilege of entering into your life to help you with your goals, or as a supporter or a listener of the podcast. Thank you to everyone. In today's episode, I'm going to be discussing the ethos of children's motivational speakers and mentors and group work leaders. And they're often personnel that attend schools and conduct workshops or lectures on particular topics, teaching particular life skills or teaching particular mindsets that are constructive for students. Now, as per usual, never take what you find on the internet as advice. If you have concerns about yourself or someone else, please seek professional advice. Also, please understand, if you are one of these personnel or an employer of same, I'm certainly not judging you. I'm just making a critique of the type of ethos that I sometimes see. I'm certainly not suggesting that anyone has bad intentions, and I'm certainly not suggesting that everyone who performs these roles has the same ethos. But to begin, it's well accepted that you must be personable and relatable in order for an audience to find you credible, and we do have an innate tendency to trust people if they share similarities with us. So if you are a young person, especially considering that young people tend to be vulnerable in the world because they hold less power than adults, you're going to be more likely to trust someone if they don't present as particularly authoritarian, if they don't present as particularly uptight, and if they present as someone who understands your interests and your concerns in life. But there's a problem that sometimes manifests. I've taken some time to analyse how some of these organisations hire for these personnel, and also have reflected on the ones that I've actually seen in action. And often they want someone who is a kid at heart, so to speak. In other words, someone who presents like a child, performing these roles of speakers and conductors of group work. Now, ask many of the children who may have sat through these workshops. Often, they don't find them relatable. They find them rather patronising, perhaps a little bit insincere. And often they'll be asking, what was the point of that? What was I meant to be taking from it? And as a public speaker, one of the most important attributes you can have is the ability to communicate your purpose, to actually lead someone else to understand why they should be listening to you. As a counsellor, as a psychotherapist, you have to be credible as well. And if you ask psychotherapists who work with children, they will tell you children will know when you're patronising them and when you're trying to be them, and they don't tend to respond well. They do tend to respond more effectively when you're accessible and take them seriously, because children have a natural desire to mature. People have a natural desire to better themselves. Children want someone who take them seriously, who don't treat them like they're just a silly child, whose beliefs don't matter, whose concerns don't matter, whose opinions don't matter. Furthermore, role models are meant to be aspirational. If you are presenting as a child, then what are children seeing in you? They're seeing who they currently are, because that's how you're presenting. But if you present as mature, then they'll be seeing who they could be. And I have a concern that in contemporary culture, we are delaying adulthood. Maturity in life is a necessity. It inherently means bettering your personal qualities so that you can survive better in the real world and be more constructive. Trying to be a kid at heart means negating maturity, but being mature doesn't mean having to be rigid, cold, and unrelatable, right? It doesn't mean trying too hard either. It means showing children that you take them seriously and that their needs are important. And I've been a vocal critic of people who don't take children's needs seriously, because even in current day, there are still children who are seen and not heard, and that's disgraceful. But part of life also means maturity. And if you are someone who is relatable and who shows that you take children seriously, but at the same time you're mature and responsible, and you can communicate to children why they should be listening to you and why your ideas are valid, they are more likely to not only learn something from it, but also to see you as a role model. And they're likely to see, wow, I see that person really understood me, but they were also mature. And they were also responsible. So if they can be mature and responsible while being relatable, that means that I can grow up to take other people seriously and take myself seriously and tend to my own needs while still being mature and responsible. Children do understand more than they can communicate. And communicating in front of a child as if they can't understand you is the height of being patronising. So like everything in life, the answer to these types of questions is healthy balance. And like I've said, it's hard to prescribe rules for logic. Logic just exists. So part of working with people means having a nuanced mind and being able to understand the balance between being relatable without being patronising. And all of us should be striving to constantly learn about this, because in the end, humanity is complex. So we should never stop learning about it. But in the end, that's also what makes it so wonderful and so fascinating. So thank you for joining me for this episode. As per usual, if you have concerns of your own, please never take what you find on the internet as advice. Always seek professional help. And if you have any ideas about what you'd like to hear on the program, or you'd like to be a guest or a collaborator, please contact me. I'd love to hear from my audience. And until next time, take care.